pray. The words of my mouth and the meditation of each and every one of our hearts here today will please God, who is our rock and our Redeemer. I want to tell you a story today about a woman named Naomi. Now, Naomi was a young girl, and she fell in love with a man named Elimelech, and she had high hopes for a bright future with this man. And they got married, and all the romance was flying about in the air, but very soon reality struck, and it struck hardcore because the economy tanked shortly after they were married. And so they were living in hard times, Naomi and Elimelech, and they were struggling to get by, and they weren't making it. A famine had hit the land, and they couldn't do anything to make money. They were getting into debt, they were getting out of control, and there was nothing to be done. So finally they decided, we can't stay here. We can't stay where we grew up. There's no jobs, there's no crops, there's nothing here for us to keep us alive. If we stay here, we'll die. And our two sons, whom they had in the meantime, will die with us. So they uprooted, and they moved to a place about 50 miles away, 75 miles away, to a place called Moab, where they settled. There were springs there, and they could make a living. They could earn a keep. They could raise a family, and raise a family they did. Their sons grew up, and they each found wives of their own in this new territory of Moab. And they married these women, and Naomi was excited about all the prospects when tragedy struck. Tragedy struck when her husband died, and she was left with her children, with her sons and daughters-in-law, heartbroken, but still with family around her to support her through this difficult time. And it was good that they were there, because she doesn't know if she could have made it through without them. And they supported her, and time went by, and she kept hoping, as all parents with married children hope sooner or later, that they would see grandchildren. She would see grandchildren. She kept hoping, and then after a few years passed, she started praying for grandchildren, and praying, and praying, and praying, and praying. 10 years passed, and neither of her sons and daughters-in-law conceived and gave birth. Now, in ancient days, this would be a tragedy. There's no such thing as Social Security. Maybe there's no such thing in our day and age as Social Security either. But there was really nothing but children and grandchildren. So how would they live? Her children, her sons. How would they live into their old age? And she was worried about them. But soon her worry turned to mournful sorrow. Because you see, both of her sons also died. Now, she was left with two daughters, daughters-in-law. In her time, these daughters-in-law would be considered as much daughters as daughters-in-law. So she was left with her two daughters to fend for themselves in a foreign land where she had no property, where she had no rights, where she had no family, and really they had no hope. Now she would have nothing to look after her in her old age. So Naomi made the decision to go back to her hometown, where she grew up, where her family was. Maybe she could find somebody there who would graciously and mercifully, generously take her into their home and care for her and take care of her as she got older. And so she told her daughters that this was her plan, and her daughters immediately said, we'll go with you. They loved their mother-in-law very much. Raylene asked that question, do you love your mother-in-law? They loved her very much. And so they were going with her, but she said, how can I find food for you? How can I provide for you? In this day and age, it's expected that you will marry another one of my sons, that you will stay as part of my family. If you come with me, there's no hope for you. You will die like me, old and alone. No, she said to her daughters, go back. Go back to your family. Maybe your family can find you a husband who will marry you, and you can have kids with them. And one of them did. One of them went back, and one of them didn't. Her daughter, named Ruth, decided that she was going to go with her mother, whatever the cost. Even if she dies old and alone, penniless, a pauper, and starving, she will go with her mother. She will go with her mother. She says, she is so convicted, she will go with her mother. She says, from now on, your people are my people. I'm no longer a part of this other people. I am your people now. She says, I no longer will worship those gods that my people worship. I will worship your God. I will be with you wherever you go, and I will stay with you. Wherever you lie down, I will lie down. Wherever you stand up, I will stand. We'll be together. She says, you will not die alone. I may die alone, but you won't, because I'll be with you. And so Naomi knew that Ruth wasn't going to change her mind, and so they went back to Naomi's hometown of Bethlehem. Has everybody heard of Bethlehem? You know anything about Bethlehem? Keep that in the back of your mind, because that's an important detail in this story that's going to become pretty significant near the end. They go back to Bethlehem, and Naomi is too old to have any children at this point. So there's no hope for her. Ruth is still young. Naomi is old. She can't even take care of herself. She can't even go out in the fields to gather what's left over. So Ruth does it for her. Ruth goes out and gathers enough for her and for her mother. And she works hard all day. And she brings home what she gets and shares it with her mother-in-law. And because of her hard work, she gets noticed. She gets noticed by the owner of the field, a man named Boaz. And Boaz says to his workers, don't bother Ruth. Don't bother her. Let her gather wherever she wants to gather. If she starts to gather with the servants, he said, don't embarrass her. Don't scold her. Don't talk down to her. Just let her do it. He said, she is working hard to provide for her mother-in-law, who is a relative of mine. So let her do it. In fact, why don't you spill some grain? Don't let her see you doing it, but spill some grain on the ground and just leave it there so that she can find it. And so when Ruth goes home, she has a whole basket full of grain. And Naomi says, now that's amazing, because farmers don't leave that much grain lying around. She said, where did you go? Where did you go to find all this grain? And Ruth says, oh, I went to a man, what was his name? Boaz was his name. And Naomi says, praise God. Boaz, he's a cousin of mine. He's a cousin of mine. You know, if we look back in the Old Testament, if we look into the law could say, you know, if you read it a certain way, it could say that it's Boaz's responsibility to take care of me. And God has brought us and taken you to Boaz and put you in that field so that Boaz would take care of us. And she said to Ruth, I want you to listen very carefully and do exactly what I tell you. Tonight, clean up, take a shower, get all gussied up, right? Put your face on. Is there any other way to say that? Do your hair, right? What's that? Perfume? Perfume, right? And I want you to go back. And I want you to pay attention. When they're done eating, all the guys are going to lay around. They're going to go to sleep. And I want you to go to where Boaz is sleeping. And I want you to take the blankets off of his feet. And I'll cover his feet. Sometime in the night, his feet are going to get cold. And he's going to wake up. Right? Uncover his feet. And I want you to lay down there by his feet. And just lay there. And just see what he does. See what he says. And so Ruth does this. Now some people will read this and they'll get all crazy and they'll say, oh, this is a euphemism for you know what, and they're going, this is a little risque. It's not that. Right? Ruth is consistently shown as a woman of integrity. consistently, Naomi is shown as a woman of integrity. Boaz is consistently shown as a man of integrity. There is in no way that this can be construed as a euphemism for something else, okay? So get your minds out together. So she uncovers his feet, and she lays down by his feet. And in the middle of the night, the Bible says, Boaz wakes up, and he stretches out his foot, and he hits something. Do you ever stretch out your foot in the middle of the night and something's there that wasn't there when you went to bed? And you feel it's kind of squishy and heavy? Like, it's not like a pillow or something. It's something there. You wake up, right? You're like, what's that? Who's there? Right? This is what Boaz does. He wakes up and says, what's that? Who's there? And Ruth says, it's me. It's Ruth. And she says, cover me with the corner of your blanket. Cover me with the corner of your garment. Now, if you were to imagine this, Wendy, I'm going to borrow you for a second. And Wendy had no idea I was going to do this, neither did I. But, so, cover me with the corner of your garment. It's basically doing this. And it's a symbol that Boaz is going to take care of Ruth, that Ruth and he are going to be married. So, basically, what Naomi is saying to Boaz, Ruth is saying to Boaz is, marry me, big lug. Good, thank you. Right? That's basically what she's saying. Cover me with the corner of your garment means marry me, you big lug. Right? In the most respectful fashion. She's saying, will you protect me? Will you be my protector? Will you be my provider? Will you care for me? Will you marry me? Now, this is pretty advanced stuff. Like, this is 1,300 BC women's lib, right? She says, marry me, you big lug. And he says, bless you. Bless you, because you could have chosen anybody. Why does he say that? He has seen her integrity. He has seen her work ethic. He has seen her personality. He has seen and come to respect this woman. And he says, here is a woman that any man would be happy to marry if he knew her. He says, bless you for choosing me. Now, is there some indication here that he's a little over the hill maybe? A little older? And so really, he didn't think he had any shot with her. And so he says, bless you. He says, stay here, and in the morning, get up and rise early, so that nobody gets the wrong idea. Get out of here before anybody thinks that, something went on. Go. And he said, here, don't leave empty-handed, but here's a basket of grain. Take it back to your mother-in-law. And so Ruth gets up early before anybody gets up, and she goes home. And she goes to her mother-in-law. And this is where the story that Raylene read for you just a few minutes ago picks up in chapter 4. This is our real passage for today. Boaz becomes the main character. Boaz is what's called a kinsman redeemer. Kinsman. Everybody knows what a kin is, right? Your kin, right? A kinsman, redeemer. Somebody who buys something back. Somebody who redeems something. Somebody who takes something that was encumbered with debt and frees it. Okay? So Boaz is the kinsman redeemer. And he goes and he says, there is somebody who is closer to you, who has first dibs on you, in a sense. Somebody who has first claim, first right. Because you're supposed to, the law in Deuteronomy says, if a brother dies without a child, his next brother is supposed to marry this woman and provide an heir for him. Because land was handed down through the family. So that he would continue to receive that property, the brother is supposed to do it. Well, both brothers are dead. So it goes to the next of kin. And he says, I'm not the next of kin. There's one other guy who's before me. He says, I've got to give him first right. He's a man of integrity. He says, I want to marry you, but I've got to do what's right. He says, just trust me. Go home to your mother, and I'll deal with this today. I'll make sure it happens right away. So he goes to the town gate, and the town gate was a big open area, probably about as big as the back half of the sanctuary there in some cases. A large area where people would gather and they would discuss things and they would take care of business. And he gathers the elders and says, I need you elders to come here and gather together. And the passage says the next of kin happened by. The next of kin, that guy that he was looking for, just happened to be passing by right then. Right? All throughout Ruth, we've got this picture